Zoom to talk about her book, The Dawn Patrol, the COVID-19 Catastrophe, when we come back. And your time is 8:46. Welcome back, everyone, to Bartow's Morning News. Yeah, we're on the seventh inning stretch wind down, but that's okay. We've got time for one more guest. We are joined now by Cassie Killingsworth, author of Dawn Patrol, the COVID-19 Catastrophe. Cassie, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Well, let's chat about it. Now, I was reading a summary about it, so I don't know. I guess we're a couple of months after the holidays, but this is really a book about Christmas.
Yes, actually. So this is something that typically happens every Christmas. I'm just the next student that Dr. Collins happens to choose for the 2020 Christmas year.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about first what got you to want to write a book and title it Dawn Patrol, the COVID-19 Catastrophe.
So actually, Dawn Patrol is kind of how things are tagged. So Dawn Patrol is a continuation of something that Dr. Collins does. It's typically a morning message that he puts out. If you read the book, and those of you who are familiar with military, it's chock full of military references and all sorts of that, just because Dr. Collins, is former military. Dawn Patrol is something that he puts out every morning, kind of like a morning message, like, hey, this is something, that's on his mind, or, this is something to be thinking about as you're going about your day and, getting done what you need to get done.
Gotcha. So Dawn Patrol being sort of like the brand, and then the story is the COVID-19 catastrophe.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me about well, first of all, you said he selected you this year for a Christmas publication. How did you get selected? Like, what did you have to do for him to pick you?
Really, I'm one of his students. So this year I was one of the few that was able to do it as well as whatever workload I had for, at the time for school. So it just happened to be right time.
Gotcha. So now, does it have to be a Christmas story? Because I'm not familiar with sort of the annual projects that Dr. Collins gives his students. So does it have to be a Christmas, or that's the story that happened to jump in your head?
This specific project is Christmas. So it actually started in a really, really sweet way. He has a young neighbor. She must be around like 9 or 10. And a couple years ago, her mom got an elf on the shelf. And so she was having a lot of fun, setting it up in different ways. Like, oh my gosh, like, look, your elf is moving. And Dr. Collins ended up giving her a couple toys because, he's got all these toys just for his grandkids. And the little neighbor comes over and a couple days later after her mom had used these. And, she said, be careful, like those toys come alive, like you got to be careful. And that gave him an idea of, well, okay, hold on now, like let's do a story with this. And so it evolved from there into a Christmas story that he does every year of like, oh, the elf on the shelf is doing this, like, something with Christmas and stuff like that.
All right, so then let's get caught up then to this book that you are involved with. What was the idea for this story, and why call it the COVID-19 catastrophe?
Well, this year, typically it's, something's threatening Christmas. Oh, toys are coming in to save the day. And so this year, just because of how hectic everything has been, I really wanted to give something positive that, oh, the toys are going through it too. Like, it's okay, despite all the craziness and everything has been so uncertain, but I wanted the kids, his grandkids, and there's a lot of other kids that follow the story too. And I really wanted to give them a peace of mind that, Christmas is still going to happen.
Gotcha. All right. Excellent. So it's a chance to tell a positive message. Even with COVID, there's always something that we could look at and be down, or we could choose to look at whatever's happening as a challenge to overcome. And you chose a positive route.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so for folks who are listening, it is a Christmas story, but this might be something you can read every Christmas, and certainly just because it's past the holidays doesn't mean you can't get a book for your kids. What's the age range for the book?
Probably, really, we did it for all age ranges. So even the little ones that aren't quite reading, there's bright, colorful photos, and we made sure to do the photos specifically so as you're reading along to your kids, even if they're not at reading level, they can still like, oh, this is what's going on. Like, the Batman toy is, has a mask on. He's washing his hands. Obi-Wan Kenobi is next to the soap. Let's wash our hands, stuff like that. So really, I would say it's a very wide age range, even if they're not of reading level.
Gotcha. All right. And so naturally, as any author would love to have that book put in the hands of readers, how do people get a copy?
You can go to blurb.com, which is BLURB. And if they type in Dawn Patrol, they can not only find the ones from this year, but also years past.
Excellent. And I imagine there's you can choose softcover, hardback. There's different ways you can get it actually sent to you.
This year, yes, there is an option for hardback versus softback. In years past, I believe it's only softback.
Gotcha. All right. Now, is there any plans, and I don't want to put you on the spot, any plans I know to maybe have them put locally here in any of the stores? I know there's a lot of merchants that sell books by local authors, so I didn't know if you had any relationships with like the Bartow History Museum or other places like that.
That, as of right now, no. I'm actually a little further south than Cartersville, but definitely I'm sure Dr. Collins is always scheming for his students, so I'm sure he's got something lined up.
Excellent. All right. Now, what about social media wise? If somebody who is reading it or somebody who gets the book and their child maybe wants to say hi to the author, do you have an author Facebook page? Do you have a project Facebook or Twitter or anything like that?
So typically Dr. Collins will post it on his personal Facebook page. And this year I was sharing it through my publicly through my Facebook page as well. And so that's how, because there's a lot of classrooms and stuff nationwide that follow them. So that's typically how they get it. I don't know if that's like, you have to be a friend of Dr. Collins or myself to get it, but you can definitely get it after the holidays. Because typically we got this up end of January. So it was through publishing by the end of January.
All right. So blurb.com, do a search for Dawn Patrol. You'll see all the books, but this one specifically called The COVID-19 Catastrophe, and a positive message on how even the kids' toys that come to life are going to battle through COVID because, what's your alternative? You give up? You can't. You got to battle through and you got to succeed, right?
Yes.
All right. Anything else you want to let the listeners know about this book or about you as the author?
I'm a local kid, local to Georgia. Wasn't born here, but I've lived here all my life. Dawn Patrol is something that happens every year, so I'm just another continuation of this story. A funny thing that did happen, we did have a class of kids get so upset we had to rework the story because we shut the toy factory down because of COVID. We had to, enforce rules. We had to sanitize everything. And they got so upset, the teacher contacted Dr. Collins about it. So we had to rework and instead the next day reopen the toy factory because we had it set so the toy factory opens a couple days later. But we had to change it around because they were so upset. Like, no, the toy factory shut down.
Right.
So I just thought that was really, really cute.
Wow. Yeah. So then you've got an audience that's interacting back with you. I think that's really neat, and that you were able to update the story almost real time to make sure that the next version had a little bit more explanation that, just because you had to shut down for a short period doesn't mean there's no longer going to be toys.
Yeah, that's one of the beauty of posting it daily before we go into publishing, so we get stuff like that. Because, Dr. Collins and I, we didn't notice that. We're like, oh, okay, we know what's going to happen in the future. We know it's going to reopen. But the kids don't know that because they're getting the updates every day. So they don't know what's going to happen in the future. And so I just thought it was really, really cool how we could see how people are taking the story day by day.
Gotcha. Cassie Killingsworth, author of the story called The COVID-19 Catastrophe, part of the Dawn Patrol series. You can find it on blurb.com. Thanks so much for joining us here on Bartow's Morning News.
Thank you. I appreciate it.